Alrighty, folks, today we are talking Ryzen, and I'm going to do an Abyss 1 guide on Ryzen, heavily featuring him, showcasing him, and highlighting how good he is at A0 and how good he is at A1. Ryzen is a very player-friendly hero because he's already extremely strong and close to max potential at A0, and then after A0, after no awakenings, by far his best awakening is his A1. The easiest to get awakening. You only need one extra copy of him to unlock this. And as you can see here, I do have that extra copy. So I want to show him first at A0 just to prove that he is more than enough to handle the shields in Abyss 1 and basically in all content in this game. He's a phenomenal shield breaker, very good single target DPS. We'll show that off at A0. And then I'm curious how much, particularly in Abyss, his damage is going to rise when you get A1. Now, if you don't know, Abyss is going to be Drake, Sarion content, it's Dragon content, and in this game, when you're fighting Guild Boss 1, as I like to call it, whatever the dragons you take on every day are, they have much lower defense and much lower magic resistance, so whether it's Nightmare 3, Nightmare 4, Abyss 1, whatever's to come, we'll see, you can get away with a lot less ignore defense, a lot less ignore magic resistance, a lot less penetration than in other content. And when you do get said penetration, it is not as impactful as it would be in other content. A great example of that, a great foil to fighting the Drake, to fighting Guild Boss 1, to taking on Abyss 1, is going to be Semra. In Semra, Titanic Ruins, whether it's Apocalypse 1 or especially Apocalypse 2, the defense and magic resistance is super high. So having shredding damage, penetrating damage is really valuable. How valuable is it in Guild Boss 1? We're going to test that out today. Very quickly, I want to take you through Ryzen's kit. I have a huge guide breaking him down in a ton of detail. It is a complicated kit, so if you want to know more than what I'm about to share here when it comes to the intricacies of every single skill, please go look at this video here. This is the guide for you. If you just want to get the gist of him for now and you want to see him showcased in Abyss 1 and see him live in content and especially see how he improves at A1, then this is the video for you. Frankly, if you've got Ryzen and you're thinking about using him or you want to use him, you should watch both videos. I'll link the full crazy deep dive guide on the kit in the description and the top pinned comment. So TLDR on Ryzen, he has these drums that float behind him, and they are very hard visually to see. When you're in battle, it's really hard to tell, especially if it's like a big boss battle or a really cluttered battle. It is very hard to tell which drums are activated. So what is a drum of war, and how do you activate them? Basically, every 10 instances of basic attack damage dealt by both Ryzen and all other allies are going to activate one of these drums. So they do get activated quickly. We've got his basic attacks and then any other contact-based basic that's coming from any other ally. So you'll see them light up if you really focus when we get into battle. Otherwise, it's very visually hard to see, in my opinion. But if you use him properly in most content, especially Abyss 1, he will always have all 8 drums active when he goes to ult. So trust me on that. There's long periods of him not ulting. He always gets 8 drums active. It only takes 80 basics from all allies, him and all of his friends. So you're going to activate these drums of war. Now, what do these drums of war do? Well, once they're activated, they can be triggered. What happens when they're triggered and how do we trigger them? We'll go over how in a second, but when they are triggered, they're going to deal 50% damage. Additionally, every time one gets activated, he is going to get an attack bonus boost of 4%. So you want a lot of uptime on having all 8 of these active because a 32% post-deployment attack boost is extremely strong. If we look at his stats right now, we'll go over the build after this kit. You can see he has very high base attack, extremely high base attack for a single target marksman. This goes all the way up to 52-23 at A2. So if you get him to A2, he has just ungodly levels of attack for a single target marksman. Many of the marksmen in this game that are single target, like Hex or Silas or Hotsit technically, they are down at 3,700 base attack, and he's almost at 5K with no awakenings. But stacking upon that, growing off of that, with that talent as you activate these drums is very, very good. His basic attack, just a single target, normal damage move, physical damage. He does prioritize airborne units. At the end of the day, he is a marksman. He's got this cool ultimate. It is very complicated. Go watch the other video. Essentially, he does some burst damage, 200% damage when skilled up, and then he's going to trigger all of his drums of war at once, right? You can trigger them in one other way as you're going throughout the battle. You'll see that with his passive, but when you click that ult, you're getting a 200% damage burst from him. And if you've been doing anything in any boss content, you'll get all 8 triggers on all 8 active drums of war. That's gonna be 50% damage times 8. That's another 400% damage. So you're getting 600% damage. It does get even better, and you'll learn about that from the other passive. We've got 2 passives to go through, but TLDR, you trigger big bursts of damage. So let's go to the next part here now. Afterwards, during this ultimate, for the 20 seconds, all his basic attacks become double hitters, 2 consecutive strikes. That's going to go for the 20 seconds, and each strike's going to deal 100% damage instead of 1 strike dealing 120% damage. So net, additive, it's 80% more damage. That's good. And then if we go down here, this is pretty key. When he ults, he can no longer activate any drums of war. Like I said, typically, especially in boss content, all of them already would have been activated. But when the ultimate ends, he consumes all of the activated drums of war. He needs to start activating all 8 all over again. Let's get into the passive so it really makes sense. This is the final key thing about his damage. And when you see the second passive, it will make even more sense. So when an enemy's hit by 8 Thunderbolts, they're going to be inflicted with Thunderbrand. We go back to Drums of War, you can see when they're activated and they get triggered, they're going to launch a Thunderbolt. That actually is the damage. So when you ult, if you have 8 active Drums of War, you're getting 8 Thunderbolts. So you trigger this. Thunderbrand is going to be a mark that goes on the target. This is very good for single target boss content like Abyss 1. And after 8 seconds, it is going to explode and deal damage equal to the number of basic attacks that happened in those 8 seconds times 12% damage. So if you got 20 basics off, and it's not just Ryzen, it's him and all of his allies. If you got 10 basics off, that's 120% damage. If you got 50 basics off, that would be 600% damage. Typically, it's like another 400% damage. Could be a lot more in content like Styx, but it's just another big burst. This is most important though, because of the second passive, all the damage from Thunderbolt and Thunderbrand. So the triggers of the drums and the big explosion from the mark that happens from this passive, the Thunderbrand mark, those are all going to deal double damage to shielded targets. So that's why he's such a crazy shield breaker. Every time he's going to do a basic attack, he also has a chance to trigger all of his activated drums of war. So especially when you have a lot of drums active, you basically have a 1 in 3 chance, slightly better than 1 in 3 every single basic. And he's fast, right? 2.0 second basic attack interval. You have a 1 in 3 chance that you're just going to be triggering all this extra damage, 50% from Thunderbolts from every single drum you've got. And that Thunderbolt damage, well, it's dealing double damage to shields. So really, really nice. I think we're about ready to hop into battle. That's enough yapping out of me. It is a complicated kit. Definitely watch the other video. The Awakened one is going to be cool though, because when Thunderbolts deal damage, and we'll see this once we actually awaken him, we got to get our A0 test out of the way first though. When they deal damage, he's going to increase his penetration by 1%. He can stack this 20 times. So once you've triggered 20 Thunderbolts from the Drums of War, he now has a permanent 20% penetration. He's permanently shredding an extra 20% of defense. Really good. Every time you ult, that is going to be 8 Thunderbolts when you use them properly, and you will, because you're going to watch this video and you'll see how to do it. So it would take 3 ults to have this maxed out, but really, it's a lot less. It's 1 or 2, depending on your luck with this passive over here, because you're getting a ton of extra Thunderbolts from this when you just do basic attacks, and the Thunderbolts have a chance to be triggered with any of the activated Drums of War. So there you have it. This is the comp we're going to use. This is my favorite comp. Shout out to my boy Pudge, who came up with this Malric strategy. It's my favorite strategy to use right now, because you don't have to use as many DPS. You can see we're only running 3 Nightmare units, so that will slightly hurt Kagiri and Ryzen. We won't get the full Lord bonus, but actually, the 3 character bonus is pretty good. The 2 character bonus is pretty good. I do think nowadays the 4 Nightmare bonus, the full 35% attack speed boost, is slightly overrated because it doesn't scale as generously as you think. Then we've got healers, right? Draylin and Diao-Chan are healers, but mostly supports. And we're using Aelin as the bulk healer for this run. Now we have got Nastia down here leading our poison comp. We've got the Poisoner in Chief Vorn and the Poisoner Exploder Queen in Numera over here. Malric will deal a little damage, but he's going to provide a very strong buff to Kagiri, who's going to absolutely pop off in this fight. Do not think Ryzen isn't good because of the amount of damage Kagiri is about to build. Really, you should be comparing Ryzen to like Nastia and Vorn. And in that case, even at a 0, he is shockingly good. And his damage is still getting undersold because he's even better because of the shield breaking, right? Yes, damage is good, but breaking those shields is how you advance in the battle. And you'll see on that third shield, the second physical shield, even at a 0, his damage is kind of mind-blowing. I think that covers everything. Let's head right into battle, guys. Let me show you what's up. There's a glitch in the game right now where it always starts on 2x. I've toggled my settings and everything, so I got to focus really hard right now. Give me 1 second. Got Kagiri down, then Diao Chan. All right, let's put it on 1x. There is a default to make it always start on 1x, and it is not working right now, and it's driving me nuts. Okay, now we're going to put a buff on Ryzen, so let's place him right here, and now let's place Aelin. I only have 2 units wearing a attack buffing set, so you can see over here we've got Diao Chan right behind me in Wings of Grace. That's on Kagiri, and then here we've got Aelin also in Wings of Grace. That one's on Ryzen. So I just want to showcase Ryzen, so he's going to get that little glow. Let's flip Diao Chan to black mode, and now let's start placing units. We got Numera, we got Draylin, we got Malric, we've got, I like putting Vorn over here, so it's visually nicer. We got Nastia, and then we're going to get Tordor down. Let's get an ult on Numera going so we can trigger some Soulbound Arcana stacks, get that going, and also start working on her passive since my Numera is A3 or higher. So why not? That's the right technique. Now we're going to hammer away at Kagiri. As soon as he ults, we're going to ult with Malric, get a rage boost for Kagiri, and we're settled in. So why am I saying with Ryzen, by the way, if we pause it, you can kind of see, there's too many effects. It's very hard to see what's activated and what isn't. But the way you want to time him out is use his ult for the shields. His ult is long at 20 seconds. It doesn't come back around fast enough, really. Maybe in a Mording comp, you can make it work, but typically it doesn't come back fast enough that you can ult twice per phase. So you're just going to save it for the shield, and I'll show you the perfect timing. Do not worry. But because we're waiting on it for so long, we will just try to look when you can. We're going to activate all of these drums of war like it's nothing, right? So right now, we got to start lighting them up, and you can see they're already starting to light up. It's visually, it's very annoying. I do apologize. I wish they changed it, but take my word for it. How about that? All right, let's just ult with Aelin. Why not? We're settling in here. Numera just for stacks. Here's the Worm's Wrath. Let's ult with Tordor. Let's throw it on 1x. Now, this is some great timing, all right? I want to teach it to you. So as soon as we're making contact, right after that, let's ult with Draylin. So we're getting the damage boost up. That's only relevant if she's A1 or higher. Now what I'm going to do is right when these are crashing down, we ult with Ryzen, and I am going to go with Kagiri again because we take that shield down like nothing. You might be thinking, Fastidious, that's not a really good display of Ryzen breaking the shield because he had this absolutely nutso Kagiri helping him out. Don't worry, wait for the second shield. I realized before I said the 4th shield and the 2nd physical shield. It is the 2nd physical shield, but it's the 3rd shield. So I'll have fixed that with a text overlay. Shout out to my editor, Mitchell. So settling in here. It's a really solid damage for literally 2 DPS. It's just Kagiri and... Take that line again. Really solid damage for just 2 DPS. It's just Kagiri and Ryzen. And by the way, guys, I'm not cutting this battle anywhere. We're going to do the whole battle. My record with this comp is 63k. So hopefully we get at least that. We do struggle on the 5th shield, but we're so strong that we're able to get that much done without doing the 5th shield. Let's ult here with Malric and see if we can get one cheeky Kagiri off. Usually we can't. Yeah, no trigger there. Very annoying. As soon as they switch, we're going to go with Numera. If you had to fast forward at some point, now would be the time because this is just the magic phase. This basically has nothing to do with Ryzen. There is one thing we'll do, but that'll become clear in a second. Comes a Seismic Slam. Let's go again with Numera. So what's the one thing we're going to do? I'm going to do it now for consistency, not relevant for this run, but I am going to ult with Ryzen right now. That's because once he's A1, this is another way to guarantee at this point, after this ult, that he'll be at a full 20 stack. He will have done the requisite 20 Thunderbolts to be at the max cap, 20% penetration from the A1. So I'm going to do it here just so it's consistent timing. It won't affect anything else. Also, this will give him more time to reactivate all his drums of war heading into phase 3 when we really need him, right? Let's ult with Ryzen there. This is an easy phase if you have Numera, I'm going to be honest. Let's trigger Kagiri just to parry so he doesn't die. Throw it on 1x. As soon as you see that last Thunderbolt, ult with Draylin if she's A1 or higher. Otherwise, do it earlier for mitigation. Let's go with Malric there. As soon as that shield pops, I'm going to go with Numera. Look at that huge Numera damage. Watch. Boom. 22 million, just like that. 46, 68. Really good. All right, let's throw it on 1x. This is going to switch over at 414. What I like to do for Kagiri timing is, as soon as you see the text, take like a little beat. Don't press the second you see it. Take a little beat in your head and then do it. Ready? All right, so when you see it, you take a little beat, boom, then you go. And that's the perfect timing. Make sure, because you want to trigger within those 3 seconds. That's basically how you can guarantee it. If you do it the second you see it, you can occasionally just miss it. You'll be just too early. But basically, see it, wait the slightest bit of time, and then go. All right, let's settle in now. Phase 3, phase 4, this is where it actually becomes challenging. Let's take this hit here. I'm going to go with Numera just to make sure we have that damage down up. You can see I just refreshed it, minus 30% damage. Let's go with Aelin. Let's go with Malric right here. Oh, no, we'll go with Kagiri, then Malric, since that was delayed. And the Storm Surge. Throw it on 1x. This is where this is a huge, huge, huge Ryzen highlight right now, okay? So we have a shield coming up. Kagiri, because I got greedy, I was using Malric to rage cycle him, since Kagiri has the Wizard's Rune. That's Malric's special effect. He gives rage. That's one of the things. So I got greedy with Kagiri on purpose, because I want to ult with him 3 times this phase. So I really need Ryzen to take care of the shield, and that's what we're going to do. Here comes the big boom. As soon as it's making contact, we're going to ult with Draylin. Now let's go to Ryzen. You see these balls falling down? As soon as they're going all the way to the bottom, boom there. Now I'm going to ult with Ryzen, and now watch this damage. It looks tough, but then all of a sudden, he's really cooking. He's hitting some extra hits, and he can actually take down that whole shield by himself. So now I can go into Kagiri, I get the big hit with Kagiri, and we can really maximize Kagiri damage in the vulnerability window. So that parry was a little annoying. So that's like the magic of Ryzen, right? That is A0. I'll show you the gear right after this between the runs. It's good gear, but it's not even the best gear on my account or anything. And he's pretty comfortably in just a three-man Nightmare squad soloing the shield. And that's kind of the beauty of how his whole kit synergizes and why he's so brilliant for this. All right, let's try to hold off on Draylin for as long as possible. This is always tricky when we're kind of solo healing. Let's see. Should be good. Okay, nice. Get going on Numera right away. Now for this part, you don't have to pay too much attention if you're just here for Ryzen, but you know, you can pick up some other tips. I'm going to do the same protocol like I did on phase 2. I just find that to be nice and consistent. Get that going early. They can start getting all his drums ready, and just we can full guarantee all the penetrations there, even though of course it is. All right, let's focus in. Should be the deluge now. Let's flip Kagiri. And I will say we're going to be much, much, much earlier on Draylin now. So we're going to go, instead of the last meteor, we're going to trigger her on the first meteor because we want to get some final damage reduction up. Yes, we get less uptime on the damage boost if you have A1 or higher, but this is more important. We also want to be able to cycle her faster back into phase 5, since we're not going to try to take out that 5th shield with this specific comp, only 2 physical DPS. You know, Ryzen and Kagiri, pretty crazy combination, especially when Kagiri's getting boosted by Malric, but still, if you want to take down that 5th shield, you probably need a 3rd physical DPS or better gear than I have, even though I'll show you the gear after this run. It is good. So let's hold for a sec. We want to delay Numera as long as possible, ideally until we've busted the whole shield. Looks like we definitely can. I know we're going to be able to, but here we go. Pop goes the Weasel. Now you get the explosion during the vulnerable phase. So look at the Numera damage. 126, 131, 148. So basically up 22 mil in that little period. All right, 5 seconds away from the final physical phase. Going to get real aggressive with triggering everything right now. Slight delay on Kagiri here. Boom. That should trigger it right there. Nice. We're on 2x for just 1 second. Let's settle in. We want Draylin coming back quick. You can see that's why we went early. I'm going to trigger Numera to make sure we got that damage decrease up. Actually, we're going to have it for here, so I'll slightly delay it. As soon as that hit comes, we're going to go with Aelin. And we want to go with Ryzen, get that initial burst, and then after we get that burst with Ryzen, I'm going to switch Diao-Chan to white mode. We can also get Numera going now. She did just refresh the decrease, though. Let's get it going now. That's good. Switch Diao-Chan to white mode, and now we want to get Draylen going, get those final damage reductions. Just holding on. Really, really good. That's why we go early with Draylen. Now we can switch Diao-Chan back. Let's just see how much damage we get. It's already a high score. I think 63,500 blood with this comp was my highest. At A0, we're setting a high score. Excited to see what we get with A1. Let's go with Kagiri there, get a trigger. We can go with Torador. Left the smallest amount of damage on the table there, actually. Ryzen coming up on 100 million. Definitely not too shabby. Now, basically, we can go full auto because this is done. But hey, 66.5 without even taking out this shield. And we can get pretty far on the shield. When I time it all out perfectly, I can get to like here. So it's close. So maybe with like truly god tier gear, if I went really hard in Malric's Halls of Illusion to get some more stuff, be really good. But hey, over 6,500 additional blood passed. I mean, that is a pretty excellent performance. And you guys saw the way that Ryzen was able to solo that third shield, excuse me. Really, really phenomenal stuff. There you go, 110 million, 110.5 million, a nice chunk higher than Vorn and Nastia as well. I mean, that's a very impressive number for him to put up at A0. Let's A1 him now. Well, I'll show you the build, then let's A1 him. But I'm really curious to see how this climbs. So you can see 110.579 million. Really, 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 really good. And Kagiri, by the way, is a total free. So let's go to that gear now, and then let's awaken our Ryzen. Like I said, I'm a little dubious isn't the word, but I'm a little hesitant to be overly optimistic about how big a difference the A1 will make for this specific content, but I think this is the content we have to showcase him in because this is his best content of the whole game. And the A1 still is his best awakening. If you guys have predictions for how much you think the damage is going to climb, you let me know. Remember, this was the damage we just got, basically 10.5 million. I would think with 20% penetration he's about to get for most of the battle, I get a lot of the important parts of the battle. I'm thinking 10% more damage would be pretty cool. If this number could go over 120 or 121, 122, I think that'd be really, really nice. We shall see. Let's go into that gearing now. It is good gear without a doubt. He's got this nice Nightmare exclusive. That fourth substat kind of stinks, but you'll see I've got a nice handful of huge crit rate rolls that have allowed me to use this piece, which is really good. Granted, I don't need that rage regen, but that huge flat attack and huge crit damage is really valuable. Good attack speed. So it's nice stuff. We've got a very good bangle on him. This is pretty high level stuff. Again, huge crit that enables us skipping crit on one piece. Cataclysm is really nice for him. Soulbound Arcana is also really nice for him. I would definitely use one of those two. Hell's Lament, he doesn't ult frequently enough, and then he's not a particularly good Infernal Roar unit because a lot of his damage comes from stuff that wouldn't count with Infernal Roar. It comes from like bursty ult-based damage. If we look over here, he's got a nice looking quad. Not huge rolls though, not at all. And kind of a similar story here. We do have the big crit rate roll that enables this piece again, but I think it's pretty realistic, like late game, early end game gear. I don't think you can call this end game gear. It's just like very good late game gear. We go to the artifact. It depends on the content. A lot of times Blight Caller's Claw is just going to be fantastic for him. You can see I've got this HP bonus roll on him, which is really nice for tankiness. But if you have a maxed out Hand of Doom in a ton of content, this will be his best in slot. Obviously not this one because we're not killing any enemies, so he's not getting the penetration boost. But if you're using him elsewhere where there are normal mobs that he can kill, this is going to be excellent. But here, I really think Blight Callers is the move. And that's basically it. Time to get the A1. Quick refresher. I'll move myself out of the way. Every time he does a Thunderbolt, that's going to be the special damage he's able to pull off when you trigger an activated Drum of War. He's going to increase his penetration by 1%. 20 of these Thunderbolts leads him to max this out at a 20% penetration boost. It's pretty cool stuff. It is a very relevant awakening and a ton of content. How impactful will it be here? I'm really keen to see. There you go. A1 Ryzen. Slowly but surely, I'm starting to actually use my extra copies and awaken my units. So let's head right back into battle. And let's try to get a sense. I will do the whole battle with you guys, but if you don't care, you can just skip to the end and look at the damage. Let's try to nail it. We get the 2x annoying glitch there again. It's driving me insane. Half the time it's 1x, half the time it's 2x. Let's get Kagiri down and already just quickly switch it. Boom. Same kind of story. Really quick, if you're wondering why I'm putting Diao-Chen there and then Aylin here, my Aylin is A3 or higher. So once she does a handful of heals, her range actually becomes a big square. So she's able to still heal Torador from here. Let's just go down the line now. We got Vorn, we got Draylin, we've got Numera, Alric for Kagiri, of course, and a little bit of damage. Nastia, that's going to be Torador. Let's pop this open. Let's ult with Numera. Hopefully we got Kagiri down soon enough. Just did. Go into Malric. Kagiri gets the rage boost, and we're settled back in. If I think of any other good tips, I'll point them out. Otherwise, I'm probably just going to dial in here and make this a nice, clean run. Because Abyss is still hard. Doesn't matter how many times you do it. It's kind of hard content. A lot of timings. A lot of little things to worry about. Boom, boom. Let's time this Draylin out. I'll show you another thing you can do with Kagiri here, and this can be a little more damage for Ryzen. They're on 2x there. Boom. Kagiri goes for the parry. Once Kagiri hits, that's when you trigger Ryzen. So now Kagiri is going to take off a huge chunk of the shield because the damage is actually slightly delayed. There you go. Boom. And now Ryzen's going to get a decent amount of burst post-shield. We should see him get pumped up a little bit. You can see the numbers are pretty similar, right? He's still doing like whatever it was that first time, a third of Kagiri. We'll see how it stacks as it goes. He's not at full penetration yet. I would think maybe he's gotten, for sure when we ulted, we got 8 Thunderbolts off. Maybe he's gotten 2 more on top of that, so maybe he's at 10% penetration, so it won't be till the next phase that he's closer to his full potential here. I'm also going to hold off on Malric now for this boost. We just don't need it because Kagiri never triggers. I've run it enough times now to know that to be true. So we'll save Malric just for a touch more damage. The number to beat, right, in terms of blood is 66.5, which is the all-time high on my account, believe it or not. Once I A5 my Kagiri, A1 my Narissa, I think I'm going to be looking for 80k plus. That's going to be my goal. Let's wait. 522, we're going to get a switch here. Malric and Numera. Also go with Kagiri just for cycling purposes, but no real reason to do that. You can go early with Aylin because why not? We don't really need the heals, and this is just one less button to think about clicking. I'm really just staring at Numera now so I can ult immediately. And then remember, I want to ult with Ryzen as soon as possible now, especially because he is A1. So it's very hard to see, but he's got all his drums activated. So I want to get this ult off, and then I want to get 8 Thunderbolts, 8 more percent penetration, 8% more. All right, let's settle in. Throw on 1x really quick. Here's the deluge. Let's go there. So remember, very aggressive with Draylin on the first deluge. I want to wait for the last meteorite. Last meteor. Boom. The next one I'll do it on the first one. I even do it right before too. It was a little, we barely got it in time last time. Boom with Malric, boom with Numera. Let's see that Numera bump. I love looking at it. 43, 47, 65. About 22 million each time. That A3 plus Numera is really, really nice. You should go watch my Numera guide as well. Let's throw this on. Actually, here's another trick. With Kagiri, if you have it on 2x, you can do it the second you see the thing. Then it lines up as well. As soon as I see that text appear, Kagiri, boom, good to go. Get Numera for the damage decrease. Jump it early on the Storm Surge. Goes on 1x. I want to get Kagiri as soon as possible. So Kagiri, then do Malric after Kagiri. So Kagiri gets the rage boost. Watch, 1%, 21%. So he gets that 20% boost. Here comes the Verm's Wrath. Let's go there. And now we're going to get that solo, beautiful, beautiful solo Ryzen. Let's see if he does a little bit faster, right? With that A1 now. Quite curious. Wait, contact, boom. I like to wait till all the balls settle for this one. That's perfect timing. Boom. Let's see him take it out. Is it a little smoother? Still the same story, right? He's a little behind, and then he's going to get a little ahead. Actually looks like kind of identical there. Kagiri just got it off. We're at the same spot. We're always just about at 40k blood here. I don't think we've really had any real improvement right now, which is kind of shocking. All right, 306, we're going to get the spin over. You just see penetration is not the same here. You know, maybe what you could do is, maybe with the penetration, this would be something. Maybe with the penetration now, you could justify running a crit damage main stat on the right side. That could be a whole other video to test out. That might be a worthy thought, because we'll see what it looks like at the end. But if it's this similar, maybe his attack was already high enough with that really high base attack for a single target marksman that the penetration's barely moving the needle. Because like, what's the difference between, if this would be even, what's the difference between having this much more attack than defense versus this much more attack with the defense went down, right? Because we're ignoring defense. So if the gap's this big versus this big, it's already huge, right? So maybe we could lean heavier into crit damage. That's actually something to really think about. You might see a follow-up video tomorrow. We'll see. All right, settling in here. A little Malric trigger. Not gonna go Kagiri there. Okay, now we want to sit on this Aelin heal as long as possible. Let's see. I think that's good. Great. Straight into Numera. We'll save her for the vulnerability phase so we can use her now. Like we'd sit out the shield anyway. Same story with Ryzen as last time. Here comes the Deluge. Be a little more conservative here. As soon as I see that first meteor, I'm going to go with Draylin. Boom. Let's see. 2 exit. Taking that shield down beautifully. Just for an Nastia, basically. Pop that thing. Boom. Right into Malric. They're on 1x. Got 10 seconds out from the last physical. Let's make it count. Damage looks a little tiny bit higher. It's very hard to say. I don't know. Ryzen's at 81. So we're going to have to pick up like another 40 million. Not count, because we're not going to take this shield down. I don't know, man. Let's go there with Kagiri. Let's go with Torador. Here he just gets the trigger. That'll push us over 60k. But I mean, this is looking extremely similar. Trying to keep an eye on that damage decrease too. All right, that just got refreshed. Throw it on 1x. Let's go with Aelin there. Ryzen as soon as we can. And right after ulting with him, we can switch Diao to white mode. Get that damage decrease refreshed here with Numera. And let's go right into Draylin. I held on beautifully. We can switch Diao back. It's very similar damage. It's like very, very similar. I mean, Ryzen's even looking lower. I think just the penetration, the attack was already so high. So I think I'm going to have to do a follow-up where I try crit damage main stat. Regardless, you can see A0 already. He performs just so well. It's crazy. Get a Kagiri use. Boom. Oh my God. Oh, we just got the 3 seconds. Here's the Worm's Wrath. And that'll do it. I mean, it's like the same story. Ryzen actually ended up doing less damage. Remarkably. I mean, it's just crazy. Basically the same. I mean, very, very close, but very goofy, right? We did 110.5. Now we do 109.3. We actually see a damage decrease of just over 1%. And we did less blood too, right? I don't know why that's overriding it as the new auto fight. That was less. But yeah, Ryzen coming in at 109.3, where before the Awakening 1, he was at 110.5. Obviously, there's variance. Little things happen. But I mean, we want, for 20% penetration, we wanted to see a boost of, at least 10% damage, at least 8% damage. That this isn't, there's not that much variance. So I think it comes down to the benefit for this specific content. If you're using him in something like Semra, let's say, you're gonna feel that penetration for sure. But here, I think it probably does come down to, can this free us up to run a crit damage main stat on the right? If that's the case, maybe we could see a nice little bump. I will try that out. But for now, the moral of this story is Ryzen is phenomenal in Abyss, and he's so good already at A0. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching this live when it comes out, like the day it comes out, tonight, I'm going to have a quick should you summon on his banner, which is coming tomorrow. But I thought this guide was more important. So thank you. If you appreciate everything we do here, do subscribe to the channel. That would be awesome. Like the video, share it with your mother. I've been Fastidious, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.